In the meantime, the African Union has suspended Niger Republic until civilian rule is restored. The AU also announced that it would assess the implications of any armed intervention in the Sahel nation. In a crisis now nearly 4 weeks old, the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, has threatened to use force to reinstate elected President Mohamed Bazoum. The bloc says the Peace and Security Council has requested the AU Commission to undertake an assessment of the economic, social and security implications of deploying a standby force in Niger and report back to Council following strong differences on the matter. To speak more on this, we are joined by public affairs and political analyst Jide Ojo. Mr. Ojo, glad to have you on Nigeria tonight. AU has suspended Niger and is demanding restoration of constitution.
My pleasure.
Okay. The AU has suspended Niger and is demanding a restoration of constitutional order when the junta has said, I beg your pardon, has said that this will happen in 3 years. Seems like a stalemate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like a stalemate, but you don't also, the junta doesn't want to go down without a fight, so they need to be seen as being in charge and consolidating their hold on power, which is why it is heartwarming that African Union today has suspended the Niger Republic, because we actually need to deter coup plotters in Africa and even across the globe. It's an ill wind that knows nobody any good. I mean, we have experienced coup in Nigeria and military junta for 29 years. So what benefit have we derived in terms of human rights, in terms of development stride and all of that? So as it was in the beginning, so it is now. We have four West African countries under the military. We could see that in spite of all their promises to stop terrorism and banditry, they've not succeeded in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Guinea, even in Guinea-Bissau, in Chad. So it's important that African Union show zero-level tolerance for military coup, and let's see who blinks first. Now ECOWAS is tightening the noose. African Union has joined. I hope the United Nations will likewise join, so that Niger does not have representation at the UNGA coming up next month in the US.
But considering the But you're saying AU should have a strong stance. But considering the obvious disregard for ECOWAS' request, of what use is an AU suspension when the country is already facing sanctions? Because that's one of the powers that ECOWAS and other regional bodies have.
Well, you may perceive that this thing is not eating hard on Niger, but I bet you it's really eating hard. Now we have cut off the electricity supply to Niger. We have closed our borders. Of course, you may say ordinary citizens are the ones that are feeling the brunt, but it will soon get to the junta, because when they cannot travel abroad for Medicare, they don't have they and their families have visa restrictions, and the economy starts to hemorrhage. Starvation looms. The ordinary citizens that are today jubilating that they have them in power will start to mobilize against them. And I just hope that we will not eventually have a Sudan crisis on our hands. Recall that this is how it started in Sudan. They removed Omar al-Bashir for want of crimes against humanity at the Hague and all of that. Eventually, it was pushed out through civil society mobilization. But today, the entire Sudan is engulfed in an internecine war for the past getting to 4 or 5 months now. We know what damages that has caused to the economy and even the statehood of Sudan. So we need to tread very carefully with Niger Republic so that we don't have that scenario on our hands. But on the other hand, we also don't want to encourage military coupists to continue to fester, because it's because it happened in Guinea, it happened in Mali, it happened in Burkina Faso, and they seem to have gotten away with it. That's why the Nigerian coupists who also felt encouraged.
There's another part to this conversation that I'd like your thoughts on. Some pundits are throwing shades at the AU over its commendation of ECOWAS' efforts to restore democratic rule in Niger. They say it is misplaced as nothing has been achieved by the body. Is that maybe too harsh a stance, considering how delicate the situation is?
You know, it's not all the time you pander to the whims and caprices of pundits, because no matter what you do, you can't satisfy everybody. Those who are saying that AU has only been backing and not been able to bite, they will be the first to also accuse AU if they mobilize a standby force to invade Niger Republic. Recall that there is principle of sovereignty, respect for sovereignty of countries. And unless there is concerted effort, you also, and of course, after exhausting all possible diplomatic and political solutions, military option is always the last option, because as former Governor El Rufai said in his tweet earlier today, you know, this is a war against brothers. For the northern Nigerians, they see the Nigerians as part of their family members.
Okay.
And it is said that blood is thicker
than water, indeed.
But
let's hope that
we
will.
Also don't want to encourage impunity.
Let's hope that will hold some sway in the conversations that continue. But before I let you go, ECOWAS insists its instruction must be followed. The release of the elected president and the restoration of democratic rule. The hunter says, nope, we will consider that in 3 years. The most important question tonight is, what next?
What next is political solution. And like Salami Abaka said, there is hope, rather, that the hunter will eventually yield to pressure and give in. Because it's better to always judge war than to war. The cost of war, apart from the economic cost, there is also a social cost to it. And like I've cited the example of what's going on in Sudan and what is even going on in Ukraine, we need to explore all political and diplomatic solutions to this before we even think of that. So the hunter may go ahead and release a transitional program. It's in their nature to do that, to give the semblance that they are on ground and their family on ground. But the truth is that they are also very worried because they need the resources to run that economy. And the resources of Niger Republic has been largely dependent on Western countries.
Okay.
They are largely dependent on aid. So when this aid dried up, when they become a pariah nation, I think in due course, maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, we'll start seeing the effect of these economic sanctions.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't get to that length of time. Let's hope that we'll find some middle ground in the shortest possible time. Thank you very much, Mr. Ojo, for speaking with us.
My pleasure. You have a great evening.